Welcome to the Spirit, Mind and Soul podcast. Today I'm speaking with Edna, who talks about how her life coaching skills helped her in her battle against cancer. Edna refers to herself as a cancer thriver, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Her resilience and just her mindset in general is very inspiring. If you enjoy the podcast today, please hit the like button. I'd love it if you could subscribe, and you'll be notified when the next episode comes out. Edna, thank you so much for choosing to join me today to tell your story. I think, you say yourself you went from surviving to thriving, and I can't wait to hear more in depth about your journey. So, do you mind telling me a bit about? We're going to talk about your cancer battle. I know it was a long journey for you, Edna. Can you tell me a bit about life before you did your life coaching credentials? Can you tell me a bit about life then and what got you into that?
Yeah, definitely. Because it is truly a story. I truly believe that life speaks to us as it nudges you into our what we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was in corporate life for about 30 years. And the last 5 years of it, I kept hearing a little voice saying, "Is that all there is? Is that all there is?" And I kept shutting down that voice, not wanting to listen to it because life was good. I had good wages.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with awesome people. The organization that I worked with, I really believed in. But yet I knew there was more. So I didn't want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And as it turns out, part of the journey was life telling me I needed to discover what it is that I'm here to do. We all have this one thing that we're supposed to do before our journey, right? In our journey. And it so happened that I'm like, okay, fine. Let me know what it is. And once I opened up myself to learning, I started on this discovery that was amazing. It I was laid off from my work because the corporation left and it went to North Carolina. I live in California, so it moved out of state. So that was like, oh, okay. So you're nudging me to discover.
Mm-hmm.
In my logical sense, I thought, okay, well, let me go into nonprofit. I know that I'm supposed to serve. And sure enough, I was serving the homeless and the immigrants, and I was in an organization, Catholic Charities of the East Bay, which, many people know about Catholic Charities. And in that, they knew I was very good with people, so they nudged me to go into HR. So I'm like, oh, okay. And in that discovery, I still was not satisfied. There was still that little voice. And then one time I was listening to a podcast, and the woman basically went through five things that you should consider. And at the very end, she said, if you answered these questions with an affirmative, saying yes, you should consider life coaching. And at first, I was like, what? Life coaching? Because I had asked Spirit to please let it be today that I discover my purpose. That morning, I just like yelled up at the skies. So I knew that message was for me. And I had no idea what life coaching was at the time. I actually laughed because I said, people actually pay for people to tell them how to live. And and I came home, did my research, discovered that it fit like a glove. I had already been doing it. People had always been attracted to me and come to me for life events, and I take a lot of joy in uplifting them. So I was certified through the Brave Thinking Institute to life coach. And I started baby stepping into basically just doing it part time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was doing that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then again, yes, fear, doubt, discomfort of a disease that I didn't know whether I was going to survive, because it was a very aggressive type of cancer. I had gotten a mammogram in March and everything was clear. And in May, I had already a lump. So within 3 months, a lump, came into being.
Mm-hmm.
So my oncologist basically said, we need to put you in chemotherapy right away. And so stopped working and took time off for me to take care of my health. And that discovery, that journey in health, and I call it a journey in health because it really was truly, rather than looking at it, and that's where life coaching came to be so
You
important,
said
right?
that, yeah.
There is no coincidence in this world that my journey was to discover these tools that I now teach, then go through a journey where I could test them and
Mm.
really try them out for myself
Yeah,
and see how wonderful they are.
yeah.
And looking at cancer in a different with a different perspective really helped.
Hmm.
Just keeping it not as the illness, but as a journey that I was living through.
Yeah, it
It's not the end.
it gave you the tools and I guess the mindset as well to navigate through that.
Because of the mindset,
Mm.
it was actually shorter than most people.
Okay.
Most people go through years and years
Mm.
of arduous just fighting for their lives
Yeah.
with the chemotherapy, with the radiation.
Hmm.
And for me, I went through 5 months of chemotherapy, which is 16 rounds,
Mm.
which to a lot of people, well, it is a lot, because it was a very aggressive
Yeah.
cancer. But my mindset was one that I was healthy. And that's why I
Mm.
call it my health journey, not my
Yeah.
cancer journey.
Yeah.
One that I was healthy. And even in that process is when I was basically, I was writing this book. And
Hmm.
while I was undergoing cancer, I was journaling.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine asked me, what are you going to do with that journal? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to write a book. So I started writing a book, and I really think it was spirit speaking through me
Hmm.
about this book. So I had like I said, 5 months of chemotherapy, and then I had a mastectomy with reconstructive surgery,
Hmm.
and then I had radiation. So it was 10 months of a journey,
Right.
but it was because of my mindset.
Yes.
It was because of my mindset. As a matter of fact, one of the tidbits that I love to share with people of how potent your mindset
Hmm.
is that before you do a session of chemotherapy, before you go on a 3 hour session of having chemo being infused in your body, they test your blood. And it basically tells them whether you're healthy enough to withstand what chemo is going to be doing to your body.
Hmm.
And what my nurses were astonished about is that on my 16th test, after 16 rounds, my blood work was better than when I first started with
Hmm.
chemo. So all of the work in terms of my mindset, doing the
Hmm.
things that I was doing on a daily basis, which was feeding my body healthy foods, which is a health journey, how to be
Mm.
healthy in
Mm.
your life,
Yeah.
really enabled me to have a different experience with cancer.
Hmm.
Cancer, yes, it was debilitating in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I learned how to navigate it, so it could be a more expansive experience and not so contractive in terms of my
Hmm.
life.
And you said it was a very spiritual journey for you as well. Were you spiritual before, or did that really come into play, when you were going through your health journey?
Yeah. Um, I was religious and I was spiritual before,
Hmm.
but not to the extent in which I lived, and that's
Hmm.
why I do call it my most spiritual time
Yeah.
in life, because it really allowed me to pay attention to each day
Hmm.
individually. It was like living each day in the microcosm, just basically seeing it in a microscope,
Hmm.
because I had to do that mentally, just concentrate on what's happening now with the things that were happening, and just take one day at a time, because in all reality it didn't matter whether I was using my mindset or feeding my body. I still didn't know whether I was going to survive or not,
Yeah.
right? I didn't have that knowledge. So I did have that sense of, today could be my last day, which in turn in a lot of ways helped me stay attuned to living each day for the gift that it really truly is. I used I use three tools on a daily basis. And, the first one is, basically I had already been meditating. But the first one is go into a meditative state in which I see myself healed. I see myself living this beautiful life. And the second one was affirming how grateful I am for life and for all the things that we have on a daily basis. And the third one was actually the key, I think, because every day was a different day. Today could have been chemo a day, and with that comes a whole bunch of what is not your body reacts to them, right, to the chemo. So it comes with a whole slew of things that you have to deal throughout the day. So telling myself who I'm going to be, it was so important of going through the process on a daily basis, saying, okay, what am I going to do today? Is it going to be surgery? If it's going to be surgery, who am I going to show up as? And that in itself allowed me to really stay tuned to the moment of living life to the fullest.
Yeah, it's
And yeah.
getting yourself into a resourceful state then. So it's all to do with that mind body connection as well. So did you learn a lot about that during your life coaching training? Do you feel that, everything that you've learned has obviously carried you through your health journey?
Oh, definitely, definitely. One of the things is that there's energy. Energy is in everything, right? In the way we talk, in the way we feel, in the way everything is energy. So having the ability to stay in a higher vibration of energy on a daily basis
Yeah.
allowed my body to heal. Because it's about many of us, and I saw this repeatedly in the waiting rooms of the hospitals or the institutions that served me, where patients would be there with their loved ones, caring for them, but they were in a different state of being. They were really more, and I don't want to say negative, because it's the normal course of life that this is what we're taught. But life coaching taught me that I needed to see it as more as a gift, or an affirmative life being such a beautiful gift, to be able to live it every day rather than being down about it.
Yeah.
Right? I remember one time I'm sitting at the waiting for the chemo at the waiting room, and there was this lady that was talking to me, and she was wondering why I had a smile on my face, and she wasn't happy. And I'm like, well, I look at this as an opportunity to learn more about the medical community, learn more about cancer, learn more about. So I was telling her how curious I became about the illness rather than being averse to the illness, right? And she's like, oh no. She says, I don't look at it that way. She goes, as a matter of fact, I know that tomorrow I'm going to be in the emergency. And I'm like, what do you mean you're going to be at the emergency? She goes, well, every single time I get chemotherapy, I end up at the emergency room because my body can't take it. So, she was already professing what was going to happen the next day to her body. Whereas I was in a state of, gosh, I'm here right now. Chemotherapy is going to be part of the treatment. And tomorrow I'm going to have a fantastic day. Right now I'm having a fantastic day. And I'm not going to say that's an easy process to go through. That's why I had to keep everything to one day at a time, one moment at a time.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so spiritual.
And that's the power of mindset and visualization as well. It shows that you've just given a great example of the difference between the two. And
Right.
and then so this led you on to then working with other women with health issues as well, and life coaching them. So I guess it's not the life coaching journey that you visualized when you were doing your training, but obviously
That's right.
it's
That's right.
transpired that that's what you've done. So can you tell me a bit about that and what made you more focused on that line of work?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I didn't expect this to be the journey, right? When I first thought about life coaching, it was more okay, I'm going to, focus on giving everybody the opportunity to live a dream of whatever it was that they really want in life. But because I lived through this journey in cancer and saw how important it is for us to maintain a different look, not only how we feel about cancer, but also about the medicines that are infused in us and the process itself. It's vital to our existence, right? It's in the and it actually, it can save lives, because even now that I do coach women that are going through a cancer journey, I hear their story or what they're telling themselves, and we work on the tools that I learned, and in terms of in visualizing yourself in a good state,
Yeah.
having plans for 10 years from today, and visualizing yourself doing the things that you would love. Because what we're doing, in fact, by visualization is we're telling spirit, life, source, this is what we want for ourselves.
Yeah.
This is, my plan for me. And help me out here, source.
Yeah.
Help me out
It,
here,
it,
God.
it,
I call him God.
well, yeah, it'll meet, and I believe it will meet you halfway as well. If
Exactly, exactly. What happens is, and I think most people that are listening to us can attest that when we make a move when we make a decision towards something in life, we then see the opportunities open, the doors opening of opportunity, right, to help us in that direction. And it is just about life meeting us halfway, like you said, helping us into the life that we want to create.
yeah,
And so teaching people that through their cancer journey is to me, it's a gift. I run a support group every week, free of charge, because I know that some communities are, the medical treatments sometimes are very costly. So I have a Wednesday support group that anybody can join because it's through Zoom, so anybody in the world can join. And then I also coach women privately in their own journeys. And to me, it's a privilege,
yeah,
because there's nothing more that I could, I don't have that little voice anymore saying, is that all there is? This is it. This is it. Allowing people to know that the journey that they're in is exactly what they're supposed to be. Be accepting of that journey and do the best you can as you're moving through it.
yeah,
With positive tools, with embracing life for what life has to give us. No, I feel very, very fortunate to have
yeah,
been led to this life coaching in people in health.
yeah. So what's next for you then? How far do you want to take this?
Well, I wrote this book, and this book basically talks about how life speaks to us. So it talks about the circumstances of life, and what we do with those circumstances is really what dictates the outcome, right? And so it's more or less life. So the next thing that I'm working on is I do want to put a book together specifically with the tools that I learned. So I'm working on that. I have my ideas of all the different chapters, and that's in the horizon. And currently I am treating or helping other women. I also would love to be in contact with the medical community, have them subscribe to this process, because I know that my nurses were astonished at my results. I'm still in contact with them, and they're to the point that when the chemotherapy finished, and they were one of them, I went to visit and brought goodies to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I miss you so much." I don't know what patient gets that type of reaction of saying, "Oh my goodness, I miss you so much," but it was because I brought a sense of hope
Yeah.
into that community,
Mm-hmm.
a sense of love. And if we can all show up as patients that way, I
Mm-hmm.
think that we can affect the medical community in a great way because they're just so giving and nurturing,
Mm-hmm.
and we just went through a pandemic in which so many of them became ill and are
Mm-hmm.
still ill or even left the profession because they're giving of themselves. So if we can, like, life supports us, why can't we support a medical community as well when
Yeah.
we're in our toughest journey of illness?
Do
So
you
that's in the horizon.
so do you feel that that's missing from the medical world and nurses perhaps? Do you feel they can implement that, I guess even life coaching type skills in order to help their clients in that, because you've obviously impacted them with your spirit,
Yes.
and they've seen how that has worked for you. So perhaps, not maybe not life coaching skills, but something like that can be implemented so that they know how to be more resourceful mentally, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, yes. And no, I know exactly what you mean. I actually have a life coach friend who is a nurse. And so what she's doing is she's actually coaching nurses on how to care for themselves. And in the teaching of caring for themselves, she's also teaching them how to care for their patients in this way, or speak to their patients in a way so the patients can actually feel empowered with their own lives and their own health. Because what happens to us when we become sick is we lose control. We feel like we're no longer in control.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I learned that we are in control.
I
We
I
just don't.
I feel so strongly about what you just said. I really do. I think we outsource when we get ill, and
Yeah,
we go to others when really we hold the power.
yeah,
And I think it's great for anyone who's listening who is going through any health issues, not just cancer, anything at all. If they can take something, from you, like what in your story, I think they can
yeah.
really put that to good use and help them with their own health. And you've got your ebook as well that I'm going to put a link that anyone can download your ebook. Do you want to tell us a bit about that and what's in there?
Yeah, I thought when I was when I was pondering on how to best serve just the overall community
Mm,
and the tools that I used. Like, okay, what are the
mm,
three main tools that I used on a daily basis? And it's about the envisioning, right?
mm,
Envisioning. And so I put an ebook together with those three principles of really connecting with your inner wisdom,
mm,
connecting with your inner spirit and spirit that surrounds us. And that's through envisioning, actually being grateful for what we have, because gratitude holds a very high vibrational frequency, and we can stay in a gratitude state. We're actually affecting our bodies in a positive way where our nervous system is not taxed, our nervous system is not overreacting, so it's allowing your body to heal. And the third tool is to be, ask, basically, on a daily basis, asking ourselves, who am I going to be today? And even in a bigger scope, I remember distinctly having the thought of, okay, I was diagnosed with this disease. I don't know what the journey is going to look like, but who do I want to be in this journey, in this circumstance
mm,
of cancer? Do I want to be remembered as somebody that was victim or somebody that was a victor? And what does a victor look like? What
mm.
example do I want to set for my kids
Wow.
whenever they face a challenge? So if we ask ourselves these three, or go through this three process of that's in my ebook, I think that it really will expand your life no matter what you're going through. You don't have to be going through an illness,
Mm,
and like you said, it could be any illness. It's just a good way of, on a daily basis, connecting with your inner source,
mm.
connecting with yourself, and really putting out there what it is that you would love.
I wanted to ask, is there anything that you're longing for? You're doing so much for other people, and I guess also going through your health journey, you must have done a lot of putting things into perspective and reevaluating things. So, do you feel there's anything now that you're longing for that's just for you?
For me, I think that I would be really, really fulfilled when my message of health is out in every single nation in the world, that we have the capacity to heal ourselves. And I know in some aspects, some people know that, but not everyone. I know. I also think we cause our own illnesses. Illnesses are caused by our own behaviors or what we're doing. So, having the ability to tune into what life is telling us,
Yeah.
so we can slow down and not have illness be manifested because of the life that we're leading.
Yeah.
I also believe that. So, just having that whole, I can be at peace when I have really had my message out there of, you create your own reality with the thoughts
Yeah.
and actions that you
Yep.
put out there.
I completely agree. And what you just said there, I think that's just to touch on that a bit more. We cause our own illness. That can be a trigger for some people, but it's actually very empowering as well to know that
Yeah.
if you've caused it, unconsciously, it's not your fault, but it's like you say, even things like trauma manifest into illness. Um, and I think that's, very empowering because you can, if you've done it to yourself, you can heal yourself.
I even have a little, not a little story. It's a story about how I believe I caused my illness, and it's a long story. So maybe another episode for us to really discuss how my mind caused this
Wow.
illness, because, like you said, it wasn't. I didn't want to discover it because I wanted to blame myself. I wanted to discover it because I wanted to stop doing what I was doing, right? So like you said, it's about empowering ourselves to really live life in a way that is more expansive. One of the things that I was doing is I wasn't loving my body in the way it needed to be loved, and that, in short, caused the cancer. And if it, and now it taught me, I have little rituals every morning, about loving my body and honoring who I am, because of that. So and I believe that one of the things we're here for two things in this earth is we're here to love. So love each other, love everything about life, and we're here to grow. And in growing is about discovering what is it that we can take, what is it that we can do, and just continue to grow ourselves
Yeah.
to a higher awareness. And when we ask ourselves the questions of, yeah, what could have caused this illness, or situations like that, it's not about blaming, it's about learning, it's about growing.
And throughout your journey, whether it was the life coaching or through your health journey, was there a particular moment that I guess you would say was empowering for you or a magic moment for you?
Through the health journey, the most empowering, that's a tough one because there's a lot.
Really?
And I think that the most empowering thing is having the ability to live through the experience of allowing my body to heal, and using the tools that I teach in healing my body. I mean, what patient can say that their blood work was better after they went through chemo than before,
Yeah.
right? Not a lot of patients, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure that there's some, but not a lot of patients. And that's because I use certain tools to allow my body to heal. We have that ability. So it was a transformational moment. The whole thing was a transformational
Yeah.
moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners who might be going through a similar journey that can reassure them?
What I would love for people to take away from my experience and really help them is we have a sense of saying, even in any illness, right? There's a saying about fight cancer. Where it's all about fight, 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 right? And so to me, it's not about fighting anything. It's about living in the flow of whatever's coming our way. Because the more we resist it, the more it persists in being heard, right? It's just a simple example of me not wanting to listen to the little inner voice that's saying, is that all there is? Well, had I listened, I would have discovered life coaching sooner. But life had a way of saying, well, no, okay, I'm going to sit you down and you're going to get laid off, right? And so that whatever we're here to learn, it continues to persist unless we're accepting of it.
Yeah.
So if any of our audience is undergoing a health journey, a divorce, any circumstance that is causing them to want to resist it, I would invite them to look at how they can actually make friends with it. And I know it can be difficult. I know it's a rigorous thing to do because we're built in a certain way. Our brains are built to, we don't like something, we can say no. And we're built to fight. But in the fight is where we're causing more friction. And what friction causes is not being in the flow of life. I have the visual, anytime I think about friction, I have the visual of how powerful water is, right? If you imagine water just flows through, and it's a beautiful way of envisioning our life to be. If we can just flow with life, whatever it brings, just make the best of it. And in an attitude of gratitude, you will have better results than if we're resisting it.
Yeah. Surrender.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed listening to Edna's story today. If you'd like to download Edna's ebook, I will leave details in the description box below on how to do so, and all information on how to contact her will be there as well. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode, and subscribe, and you'll be notified when the next episode comes out.